Blocking middle seats. An MIT professor suggesting that your risk of catching coronavirus could nearly double if your flight operates at full capacity. Right now, among the major airlines, American and United are filling their flights. Delta and Southwest are still limiting their space. Joining me now, former Spirit Airlines CEO and Six Flags Entertainment board member Ben Baldanza. It's great to have you here, Ben. And different airlines are taking different approaches. It's a revenue story versus a safety story. Where do you sit on this debate?
Well, great to be with you, Cheryl. Thank you. I actually don't think it's a safety story. I think whoever called it a PR issue is actually kind of right. You know, you need to put these kind of things in context. I'm an economist as well as a former CEO. And you look at risk in all aspects of life. Now, we have a 1 in 106 chance of dying in a car crash, a 1 in 180,000 chance of being struck by lightning. So this study says you have a 1 in 430,000 chance of dying from COVID if you sit next to someone in the middle seat. That's kind of crazy to think that we would change our life or change a business process or make a business completely unviable because of that kind of study. Let me ask, Cheryl, if you went to Las Vegas and they gave you this big die that had 430,000 sides on it and said, great odds, you win if you roll the number you pick, one number.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to play that game. I mean, the point is, it's not the study. I respect it. MIT is a great place. It's a smart place. But to say that the risk changes from 700,000 to 400,000 or something like that still says there's no risk and there's no real practical risk in terms of what a person's going to see in their life.
Right. Well, to your point, so I was a flight attendant in my 20s, actually, and I remember people would say, aren't you scared? And I said, I could die from a bee sting. I'm more likely to die from a bee sting than die in a plane crash. And it's true, or a car crash, to your point. But this is different. And I think why people are nervous about getting onto airplanes is because of the air, the recycled air. Now, is that air, when it's recycled, is it fully cleaned out, do you think, by the system on the plane? Or do you think that we are kind of re-ingesting that same air, which means we're kind of breathing the same air of all of our fellow passengers?
Great question, Cheryl. Actually, it's highly recirculated. In fact, the air completely refreshes every 3 to 4 minutes in the airplane cabin because it's taking air from the outside that's sucked in from the engines, comes in from the top of the plane and goes straight down vertically. So it's actually recirculated every 3 to 4 minutes, and it's pushing any droplets that come from your mouth or nose. It's pushing them down as opposed to forward or backwards to the person or sideways to wherever somebody else might be sitting from you. Some people have compared the cabin of an airplane to the air in a hospital in a favorable setting. It's actually a much safer place to be when you're around a lot of people than an office building or a restaurant, for example.
No, what about, like, say, wearing a shield, wearing a mask, wearing gloves, maybe covering your eyes? I mean, aren't those the safest way to fly right now? I mean, do you think that that's enough of a precaution for us to feel good about getting on an airplane? We're going to look strange, but we'll be healthy.
Yeah, well, some of us, like me, look better probably in the mask. But I think that's really important. And actually, one of the other concerns I have about this study actually is that it distracts from the real important issue of everyone on the plane wearing a facial covering or a mask.
And they need to,
really,
and
really
not
important.
all of them are, and that's making a lot of folks angry. I want to bring in Mattie Duppler really quick. Mattie, I don't know if you've flown. I'm not going to put you on the spot, but what do you make of this whole conversation about folks getting back onto a plane?
Well, I have a question for Ben. I appreciate his comments about having the context here, but the reason the MIT story is getting a lot of traction is because the airlines aren't doing this kind of research. Why, as a former CEO, do you think that is? If I'm an executive at Delta or United, I'm pushing information out about how safe it really is to fly. Why is there's not leadership in this arena right now?
Well, that's a really good question. I think airlines are, they're in a difficult place right now, right? They've seen an enormous drop in demand. They're managing their cash flow. They're dealing with their fleets, their employees, and their customers. So you're right. As an industry, we need, as an industry, to do a much better job getting the message out around how safe an airplane cabin is if everyone wears a mask, everybody's facing forward, everybody has a seat or a bulkhead in front of them, the air is HEPA-filled, filtered, it's recycled every 3 to 4 minutes. Those are great messages, and airlines are saying them, but not loudly enough. I totally agree with you.
Ben, I wish we had more time. We're going to have to bring you back to talk about the theme park. That's a whole nother segment with you. So please come back on the show.
Happy to do that.
Yeah, Ben Baldanza. Ben, thank you very much.